If you've spent any reasonable amount of time on the crafting internet, you'll have seen tutorials pop up around December time for beautiful fabric gift bags that are elegant and precisely made with beautiful linings and drawstrings and finished edges. This is not that tutorial, are you kidding? Christmas is less than 10 days away, we don't have time for that. The desire to recycle and create less waste is not incompatible with time blindness and chaos. We can do this, grab your bigger fabric scraps and come with me. First up, we're going to make a simple pouch with a ribbon tie. This is like the super easy version of those lovely drawstring bags you can buy in shops. All you're going to do is cut out 2 rectangles of fabric big enough to get whatever gift you want inside. Be generous, especially if it's a thick object, and leave lots of room at the top. I'll show you a trick later for boxier objects, but for now, we're just going straight pouches. Put them wrong sides together, and on one of the sides, a little way down from the top but a little way above the present, sandwich in 2 pieces of ribbon or the fold end of one long piece folded in half. Then sew around 3 sides of the rectangle, leaving the top open and making sure not to catch the loose ribbon ends. Once you flip this inside out, you can finish the top with a simple hem, or not, you don't have to, leave it raw, I'm not your real dad. You can tuck the present inside and tie the ribbons around the top to make a cute gift bag that looks very much like the posh ones you get in shops, but took 5 minutes. With the ties sewn in, you can be sure you'll never lose the ribbon and it won't fall off. If you want a slimmer, more elegant gift bag that works very well for flat, thin objects, I find this next style works very well. You'll need 2 rectangles with plenty of length above the top of the present, and then a narrow rectangle that you're going to sew into a tube. This needs to be at least as wide as the pouch. Just sew up one side of that little rectangle and turn it out. You could also use a piece of ribbon or trim instead of a fabric strap, that would work fine. Then you're going to sandwich it between the 2 layers when you sew them together. The top of the pouch will fold down and tuck in, so decide the height accordingly. A lot of gift bag tutorials have you French seaming the inside of the bag or something. I don't even aspire to be that person. What are you guys doing to agitate the inside of a gift bag? Just leave them raw, seriously, it's fine. You don't even need to clip your corners if you can't be bothered. Once you've turned it out and pressed and finished the top of the pouch if you want, you just put the present inside and fold the top down, tucking it into the strap. Now, you might not like the raw insides, or you might have very thin fabric, and so I will accept you maybe want to line some of these. With these 2 pouch styles, the easiest way to do that is to make 2 pouches. You only need to add the closure ribbon or strap to the outside pouch, and once sewn up, tuck one inside the other, wrong sides facing. Turn the seam allowance of the pouch openings in, line up the edges, and top stitch into place. There are fancier ways of doing it, but that one is, in my opinion, the quickest. One very underutilized gift bag idea, which is perfect for things like calendars, is the envelope style. You're going to take quite a large square of fabric and do some slightly unintuitive in fabric seams so that 3 of the corners meet. In short, fold one side in half and sew that, then fold the side next to it in half and sew that. It probably makes more sense watching me than explaining it. Then you can tuck the gift into the envelope and fold in the top flap. If you don't want raw edges on this one, which I understand because they're a bit more obvious, the easiest thing to do is to fully line your square before you start. You want a pretty lightweight fabric for this one. Just stack 2 squares right sides together and sew most of the way around the edges, leaving a little gap to turn it out. Then you can sew up your envelope just like we did before. You'll have bulkier seams from sewing other seams together, but it'll look pretty and put together from the outside. Alright, we've made it this far. You want a posh drawstring bag like the ones you get in shops? We can do that, but we're also going to do it very quickly and with minimal effort. You understand how to make a pouch by now, but we're going to add a drawstring channel. This needs to be narrower than the pouch rectangle, there needs to be a gap on either side even after seam allowance is taken away, and trust me on this one, make it taller than you think you need. You can fuss around folding under edges and making it super pretty if you want, but what am I going to do? That's right, zigzag on top. Try and get the channels level on both pieces. Once you've sewn both channels on, you can sew up the rest of the bag and finish the top, or not, just like we did before. Now I'm going to show you how to do that fancy double drawstring that means you can gather up the top really easily. You need 2 drawstrings. Ribbons work great, and err on the side of too long if you're not sure. You're going to feed one end of the first drawstring through each channel, so you have a loop on one side of the pouch and 2 loose ends on the other. Then with the second drawstring, you're going to do the same thing, but in reverse, so the loop is on the same side as the loose ends of the first drawstring, and the loose ends on the same side as the first loop. Do you see why I said to make it tall? There's a lot to fit in. This makes a really professional looking drawstring that lets you gather up the top tightly. One final way of closing a pouch is to just leave 2 long loose ends of fabric and tie them into a bow, and I'm going to combine that here with one other technique you can use on any of these pouches. Here you see I have very long rectangles that taper into points on the top for the bow, and I've sewn 2 sides of the pouch but not the bottom. I'm going to open up and refold the pouch so the side seams are no longer at the sides. In this case I'm going for a 2/3 kind of look, but you can also put the side seams in the middle before I sew up the bottom of the pouch. If you have closures built into the gift bag, this means that your drawstring, ties or whatever are no longer at the edges but somewhere in the middle. It just adds a bit of variety to the project. I particularly like it for this style, where I'm tying the pouch itself into a bow, because it means the bow is less likely to be sideways. Finally, I've used a lot of thin, flat things here, but if you have something boxier, you might want to put corners on your pouch. Be aware that this eats up the size of your gift bag, so I encourage you to be very generous with how big you make this one. Flip your pouch inside out, and you're going to flatten the corner sideways. Line up the seams down the middle and flatten out the fabric into a triangle. You're then going to sew straight across the bottom of the imaginary triangle. You can trim off the excess at this point if you want. I usually don't bother. Do this on both bottom corners of the pouch. When you flip the pouch the right way out, you'll have this T-shaped seam at the bottom which creates a bottom and sides for this previously very flat gift bag. You can easily make the corners bigger or smaller to accommodate how big or small the box you're putting inside is. This has been a whole bunch of ideas for when you're just fed up of buying wrapping paper yet again. I hope you've enjoyed this video and are not panicking too much about how quickly 2024 is approaching. Try not to think about it. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to keep the YouTube gods happy. Follow me on other platforms to see pictures of my cat, and down in the description box you'll find a link to my Ko-fi page, where you can make a one-off or recurring donation to support this channel and the little treats I need to get me through the day. Ko-fi supporters get early access to all of my videos, and I couldn't do what I do without them. Dream big, and I'll see you next time.
Let's go.